For the past year I've had many dreams which seemed, I stress the word seemed, to indicate that a telepathic communication was in progress somewhere within my head. But after talking with Henry Corman, an associate of Ornstein's, I would imagine that it is merely my right and left hemispheres conferring in a Martin Buber I and thou dialogue. But much of the dream material seemed beyond my personal ability to have created. At one point an attempt was made to get me to write down a complex engineering principle which was shown me in the form of a round motor with twin rotating wheels, opposed in direction, much as yin and yang in Taoism alternate, as opposing pairs, and much like Empedocles saw love versus strife, the dialectic interaction of the world. But this was a true engineering device they had there in my dream. They showed me a pencil, and said this principle was known in your time. And as I rushed to find a pencil they added, known, but buried in a basement and forgotten. There was an elaborate high-torque chain-thrown mechanism which moved cam-wise between the two rotors, but I never got the hang of it. When I woke up, what I did later on grasp, though, was this: further dreams made it clear that somehow our treatment of seawater by osmosis process would give us not only pure water but a source of energy as well. However, they had the wrong human when they began giving me that sort of material. I am not trained to understand it. I did purchase over $1,000 worth of reference books to try to figure out what I'd been shown, though. I have learned this, something to do with a high hysteresis factor, in this twin rotor system, is converted from a defect to an advantage. No braking mechanism is needed, the two rotors spin constantly at the same velocity, and torque is transferred by a thrown cam chain. I give this illustration only to show that either my unconscious has been reading articles on engineering which elude my memory and my conscious attention and interest, or there are, shall I say, dream universe people from, shall I say, Aldebaran or some other star with us. Perhaps joining their noösphere with ours, and offering assistance to a crippled, blighted planet which has bogged down, like a rat on a weary wheel, in the dead of winter for over 2,000 years. If they bring the springtime with them, then whoever they are, I welcome them. Like Joe Chip in Ubik, I fear the cold, the weariness, I fear the death of wearing out on endless upwards stairs, while someone cruel, or anyhow wearing a cruel mask, watches and offers no aid. The machine, lacking empathy, watching as mere spectator, the same horror which I know haunts Harlan Ellison. It is perhaps more frightening than the killer himself. In Ubik it was Jory, this figure which sees but gives no assistance, offers no hand. That is the android, to me, and the evil demigod to Harlan. We both shudder at the idea of its existence. What I can tell you about the Dream Universe people, is that if they do exits, whoever they are not that unsympathetic android, they are human in this deepest of all senses. They have reached out a helping hand to our planet, to our polluted ecosphere, and perhaps even assisted in throwing down the tyranny which gripped the United States, Portugal, Greece, and one day they will throw down the tyranny of the Soviet bloc as well. This is what I think of when I grasp the idea of springtime, the lifting of the iron doors of the prison and the poor prisoners, in Beethoven's Fidelio, let out into the sunlight. Ah, that moment in the opera, when they see the sun and feel its warmth. And at last, at the end, The trumpet call of freedom sounds the permanent end of their cruel imprisonment. Help from outside has arrived. Every now and then someone comes up to a science fiction writer, smiles a crazy secret in the no smile and smirks, "I know that what you're writing is true, and it's in code." All USF writers are receivers for them. Naturally, I ask who them is. The answer is always the same. You know? Up there. The space people. They're already here, and they're using your writing. You know it, too. I kind of smile and edge off. It keeps happening. Well, I hate to admit it, but it is possible that there is, 1, such a thing as telepathy, and, 2, that the VII project's idea that we might communicate with extraterrestrial beings via telepathy is possibly a reasonable idea, if telepathy exists and if ETs exist. Otherwise, we are trying to communicate with someone who doesn't exist, with a system which doesn't work. At least that'll keep a lot of us busy for a long time. But understand now that a Soviet astronomy bunch, evidently headed by the same Dr. Nikolai Kozyrev who developed the time as energy theory I mentioned previously, has reported receiving signals from an ET within our solar system. If this were true, and our people are saying that the Soviets are just monitoring stale, flat and unprofitable old signalers from our own discarded satellites and other junk ships, well, suppose these ET entities or corporate mind are within, say, the great plasma which seems to surround Earth, and is involved with solar flares and the like. I refer of course to the noösphere. It is ET and T at once, and possibly bears a strong resemblance to what Ms. Le Guin has written about in Lathe. And as every SF fan knows, my own works deal with similar themes. Thus giving an annoying couple of marks for plausibility to these freaks who are forever lurching up to every SF author and saying, "What you're writing is in code," etc. In truth, we may be influenced, especially during dream states, by a noösphere which is a product of our own, capable of independent mentation, and involved with ETs, a mixture of all three and God knows what else. This might not be the creator, but it would be as close to infinite mind as we might get, and close enough. That it is benign is obvious. To recall Maslow's remarks that if nature didn't like us it would have executed us long ago, here read Infinite Noösphere for Nature.